Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project. I'm just laughing because I can see Nompumelelo like rock. I don't know, were you yelling at someone or were you just rocking out in the background? It looked like you were.
Maybe I shouldn't dance. Maybe it's not for all of us. I should just keep it smooth, just side to side.
I don't know. It looks pretty smooth, but sometimes the guests don't realize that I can actually see what they're doing behind the scenes.
Oh, didn't even
You
notice.
look like you look like you were enjoying yourself anyway. Well, Nompumelelo, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing well. You are not actually the first South African queen that I have interviewed. I don't know if you know Nazir Wadi, who was
Yes,
Miss South
Swati.
Africa. She
Yes.
recommended. She said you have to interview our queen. It's like, okay, I'll send her a message. So
Oh, that
you can
is so
thank her for
cool.
this.
Yes, that's my good friend. She's the one who's helping me with a lot of outfits and a lot of tips. So that's my very, very good friend.
How has she been able to help you? Because obviously, when she competed, it was the normal in person.
Mm,
This time, it's very different. We're all recording our own videos, sending them in.
yeah.
So, has she been learning a lot as well? I'm assuming you're learning a lot as you're going through the process.
Actually, I'm so grateful for the previous Miss Earths. Lungo Katete and Nadia Wadi have been phew, something else. Like, I don't know what I would do without my Earth sisters because they're both coming from the experiences. Lungo competed when it was, well, the whole thing was just in the beginning stages. So it was very difficult. She was one of the first ones to do the videos. So she's been guiding me a lot. She's like, you know what? The trick to this is to do it in one go, get your makeup done and do it in one day. And then Nazia's like, here's the clothes, take them. Right? How privileged am I?
Hang on, you did one video in a day or you did all of them in one day?
All of them in one day, in 4 hours.
How was that a good idea after you finished? Did you think it was a good idea or did you think maybe you'd bitten off more than you could chew?
I did. I actually, but too much than what I could chew. You know what? I always like getting things, done and out of the way so that I can proceed and progress better in something else. But I think in future, if I had to advise, a future Miss Earth,
Mm.
I think they should just, take it easy. Like there's no rush. That way, you can incorporate at different venues, different locations, different makeup looks. So mine was literally one makeup look. I did do touch ups here and there, but we literally squashed everything in 4 hours where we could have used another day, but we didn't.
I think you're the first Earth Queen that I've interviewed who did everything in one day. But I mean, look, if it worked for you, that's all that matters. How have you found your Miss Earth journey so far? If I understand correctly, you were crowned at the beginning of September, and then
Mhm.
obviously the whole thing's been virtual. I know you've competed in Miss South Africa, which is one of the biggest pageants in the world, one of the most prestigious. That I assume was in person. So how have you found the whole Earth journey? Because even though you competed before, this has to feel very new to you.
Yeah. Adrian, I think because I've walked a stage before and I've experienced a few challenges as well, being in the presence, and now everything is virtual. There has been a few challenges too, but I think I had to experience both sides so that I could just sort of unfold in the journey of learning something new, transition into, I always say when something is new, it's also a little bit tricky, but it's also exciting. It sort of sets that challenge for you so that you know what's expected of you. There's a bit more pressure, and rather than just following through what I've experienced. So it's always refreshing to undergo something new, challenging and
Mm.
exciting. But I won't lie, it really has been tricky, but at least things have started to open up with the vaccinations rolling out. And I can at least go do a few of my engagements at the schools. And so that's really awesome.
Can you just, obviously, we'll have a lot of international viewers from God knows where. So just so that we know, what is the COVID situation in South Africa at the moment? And I ask because the UK and US are pretty much open. Here in Australia, we're only just opening up after being locked down for 4 or 5 months. I just interviewed Miss Earth New Zealand. She couldn't even leave the house. So we've got a whole sort of, the whole spectrum. How has South Africa been over the last couple of months?
Sure. I think we share the same sentiment. It has been a very tricky situation, from level 5 to level 4, back to level 1, back to level 5. So, and then now we are currently in level 1. So, I think, our government is taking it one step at a time. The vaccination rollout is pushing, and I think the 18 to 30 have just had access to it. Although, you can't force people to vaccinate, even though it's the right thing to do. We're doing our best in encouraging them to do the right thing to protect themselves and those around them. But I think that has been the trickiest part in our country is, to sort of push people to go and get vaccinated. And that's why the numbers are, back and forth. We've got high cases. Our government hospitals are exceeding the numbers of people every single day. So it is really something that is, it's such a big slip that we are all going through. In fact, as a world, it's just back and forth. But I really do have hope that, if we can start pushing more people to get vaccinated, that things will get better and the economy will open up again. Yeah.
Is there any particular reason you can pinpoint as to why there's some reluctance for people in South Africa to get vaccinated? I mean, I say that because in the USA, for example, it's been heavily politicized. So basically you take one side of the political equation, they're all vaccinated. You take the other side, it's a lot less. Is it similar in South Africa, or are there different factors at play?
There are different factors at play. Adrian, I think it's important to remember that we are a developing country. And those factors are also something that we can't ignore, that we've got areas of where there are impoverished areas, and people don't actually have the knowledge of where to go, don't even know what's happening. And you would go out into the townships. I mean, I do a lot of my engagements in the townships, and people are not even wearing masks. Some people don't even know what's happening, what's COVID, because their most important thing at this point is just ultimate survival. And that's the scary part. For them, it's shelter, it's food, and survival to get by every day. And it's scary to see that most of our people also, it's the knowledge, but those who also do have access to doing the right thing are a bit reluctant because of the speculations that have been built, the fake news that have been built, that are directing them in a different way, where they're saying, I've heard this and I don't think it's the right thing to do. And, we also have people who are saying, that they are pregnant and they can't take it as yet because they don't know what will happen. I mean, it's a fair response. But at the end of the day, we also need to remember that it's not just something that we all new to this COVID thing. This monster, I call it. And it is up to us to sort of take that opportunity to, put the safety in our hands and those around us. So, yeah, it's very touch and go.
Right. Are you able to describe as best you can for our international viewers South Africa as a country? Because, as you said, it's developing. Having said that, I've seen some Johannesburg, for example. I've seen some amazing sites, vistas where the cities look huge, the equivalent of any developed country in the world. So it must be a country. And I remember now, after interviewing Nazir, how many, I think it was official languages there were.
Oh, what happened? I think you're breaking, Adrian. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can. You were still asking about the 11 official languages?
That's it. So South Africa, to me, it is a country that's on my travel list when we can actually travel, because, as I said, I know a couple of South African queens and they've all said, you've got to come over to South Africa.
You've got it.
It strikes me as a country of contrasts. So can you just try and explain, I know this is very difficult, South Africa in a couple of minutes for the people who haven't been there?
Oh, my goodness. There's just so much to express about this country. You know, it's
Mm.
really, really genuinely full of diversity. And I say that in multiple ways, not just in a race manner, like the diversity in the 9 different provinces that we carry. And, you know, you can leave from one province. I'm currently in Gauteng, and it's a province that does not have really much access to, well, there's no beach at all. And I say that because it's so easy for me to quickly fly down to KwaZulu-Natal. It's an hour away. It's a 6-hour drive, and I can have access to the most beautiful beaches. But each province
Wow.
has its unique sort of like emblem of, you know, history, and that's
Mm.
something that also carries us. You know, you go to the Western Cape, and there's Robben Island, where our leaders were imprisoned back in the days during the apartheid era. So there's just so much enrichment in history, yet you go down to the Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga, and you've got access to the most beautiful big 5, our animals, you know, and you see the most beautiful plant, which is the protea. But South Africa ultimately is enriched in unity. And I say that because, you
Mm.
know, you'll see as well, Adrian, when you come over here, that the minute you walk in, open arms will welcome you. And no matter where you are from, you'll be exposed to the most divine food from all of us. I have to say
Okay,
that,
I'm
right?
sold. I'm sold then.
But yeah, you know, and I love my country, and I do wish for more people to come in and explore, because there's just so much that you can see. And I don't know if you can do that in about 5 to 10 days, but you can be
Mm.
exposed to the beauty, parts of the beauty of it. Yes.
It sounds like a country that definitely deserves more than 5 to 10 days. It's just from seeing some of your videos, seeing
Mhm.
some of the videos, and then chatting to some of my South African friends, I find it so difficult to conceptualize what is South Africa. Although, having said that, if you ask me what is Australia, I find that very
Yes.
difficult. It's very difficult to explain a country to someone
Mhm.
over the phone.
Mhm.
But you mentioned briefly South African food, and being a pageant interview show, I always end up talking about food and getting extremely hungry.
Yeah.
What are the cuisines at South Africa? What are the foods that South Africa is most famous for?
Okay. So I have to first share mine. I don't know if we're famous for it, but I grew up eating pap. So pap and morogo, right? So pap is similar to palenta. Was it palenta? I don't know.
Polenta?
Palenta. Yes, it's similar to palenta. It's just
Mhm.
exactly similar. And you know, the toppings of beetroot. My grandmother used to actually. And that's why food security is actually so important to me, because I grew up in a household where we eat everything. They were even the seeds. My grandmother would
Mm.
repurpose and plant again. So you know, the toppings of the beetroot, if you take that out and you just fry them with some olive oil and that pap. Mm, need I say more? It is divine. You don't need any gravy. You don't need any extras in there. It is divine. It's sort of like a vegetarian meal. And we love it because it's also enriched with so much nutrients, you know. Any vegetable is enriched with so much nutrients, and I love that. And then you've got to try I'd call it the Kasi style meal, you know, where you go into the townships and you have
Mhm.
they refer to it as a bunny chow sometimes, but it's actually called a kota. And it's just got chips and Russian, and it's just so divine. And sauce, it's a cheat meal, but not on Mondays
It
because there's meat.
sounds it sounds delicious. How much of this? I mean, obviously you're in a pageant, so most people have to watch slightly what they're eating. Have you had to change what you're eating at all? I mean, obviously eating beetroot and things like that, living off
Yeah.
the earth, so to
Mm.
speak, is extremely healthy. But the chips and that, I'm assuming you've had to maybe not indulge quite so much.
Not so much, you know what? But I do enjoy a cheat meal every now and again. You know, not to say I watch my diet not to stay slim. I watch my diet to stay healthy, rather. And, you know, I'm very, very into my vegetables. It's actually very funny. I grew up
Mm.
in just a household of vegetables, so bring the veggies for me. So that's why I don't have any problems with meat-free Monday. I'm like, girl, ask me and I'll tell you.
Okay, I
Yeah.
need to ask you about meat and South Africa because one of my very good friends is a South African queen. She's a
Mhm.
current Miss Eco International. I don't know if she's
Oh,
watching, Giselle
yes.
Ace, but she takes her meat. She calls it well done. I like to call it destroyed. But she said that if I ever told South Africans that she likes her meat well done, she
Yes.
would be ostracized horribly. So can you just
Yes.
confirm yes or no? Is she allowed to be
Definitely.
eating meat well done as a South African?
Look, it's gotta just be medium to well, in my opinion. Medium to well. On light heat, not too much heat, and it's just gotta be juicy and enough to be. You don't need to chew it 50 million times. No, we don't want that. We want it to be
Yeah.
lovely and savored. Yes. So she's
Okay.
not well done. It's a no for me.
Okay. Okay. Just whilst we're on the subject of food, I'll bring this up on screen so you can see it.
Okay.
I was looking through your reels and I saw this. So this doesn't look very South African to me. I could be wrong. I mean, I know what all of that is. Can you describe what this is? I'm getting hungry just looking at
Oh my
this.
goodness. That is from one of my favorite spots to hang out. And it's called Cafe One. And I absolutely love how they make the pancakes for me. I mean, it is a little bit healthy. It's got bananas and strawberries and cream and bacon,
You trying to convince me or convince yourself here?
kind of. You don't need, I mean, it's not really a cheat meal. It's breakfast. Come on, Adrian. What is this?
That
Is this an attack?
no, that looks amazing. I'm getting so hungry watching this.
Oh, it is so divine. It was absolutely divine. I could have that every morning, but you know what? We don't have the privilege of that, not all the time. Oh, it's so good.
I think that's
Mm.
fair enough. I just wanted to bring that up because I saw that reel and I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. Whilst I'm bringing up the screen, also this one you submitted for your talent section. Um, can you explain the significance of learning the saxophone?
You know what? I've always loved it, and I grew up in a very musical household. And that was actually, I didn't post the entire video because there were a few things it didn't fit and this and that. And I was like, I'm struggling with technology. Maybe I should phone Adrian. But yeah, I just grew up in a family that, music is just in our souls. And my was actually a music conductor at Wits University. So, no, sorry, Adrian, I'm getting a call. Why are people calling me?
The volume has just
And
up. There we go.
there we go. I'm back. I was getting a call. Thank you. And there we go. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, it's just in my soul and it just keeps me moving. And I thought, during the COVID time, we were locked out and we were home. I thought, let me gift myself a saxophone and teach myself something that I've never done before. So I can play Happy Birthday. I'm learning how to play Fly Me to the Moon. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah.
What is the saxophone like to learn as an instrument? I'm a violinist, so I can
Ah,
tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you play violin badly, there's a reason they say it sounds like a dying cat. Drums, play them badly, it's horrible. Saxophone, how is it when you're beginning? Does it sound okay, or does everyone else need to wear earplugs?
everyone needs to wear earplugs. It is horrible. It's like all you can hear is like a breathing sound going boo, boo. And it's like, oh my gosh, is there a ship here? Did we all of a sudden have a docking station? What is happening? But it took me about 3 months to finally get a good sound out of it. And it's all
Right.
about like a breathing technique. It's all about, it has to be, I hate saying this, like it's not the cutest thing. The top of the instrument has to be like a little bit juicy. The best way to say it. Yeah, that's the best way to say it.
Having played in an orchestra, the thing that I saw coming from the wind instruments at the back, and they would turn their instruments upside down and stuff would come out. and
Oh,
the stuff has come from inside them. I know what you mean.
you know what I
Let's just say
mean.
I'm quite glad that I played a string instrument. Let's just leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that.
So the saxophone playing, is that just for relaxation, or do you have any particular goals with it, like trying to learn a particular song?
So initially I learned the song Happy Birthday. And that's because everybody's birthday, is special. And I thought, if I can learn this, then a friend of mine can always have violin day. So that's why I thought, let me do something that I can always share with someone, and it's special. And then the next songs will be dedicated to some beautiful jazz, something that will also bring a vibe to the party. But I don't really have a plan. If you're asking about plan, it's really just for the people who are surrounded by me that I love.
On the note of jazz, because as a classical musician, I always hated jazz because
Yeah.
I was never able to improvise. Classical musicians might be able to play a very difficult piece, but I was always jealous of a jazz musician's ability to just hear something and start playing it. But on that note, can you just talk to me about golf? Because golf, I know you love playing golf. Now, I'm a tennis player, and I've always said the one
Okay.
sport I can't stand is golf. It might have something to do with the fact that last time I went to play, it was on a driving range. We had a galvanized tin roof. I
Oh, wow.
skimmed the ball off the top of the club. It went straight up, hit the galvanized iron roof. So it sounded like a gunshot going off, and then bounced off the roof, hit the concrete floor, bounced up again. So it was bang, 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 bang. And I just, like, that wasn't me. I don't know who did that.
Let's stick to
Why?
tennis. Let's not do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Why do you enjoy golf? Please explain to me. I'm dying to know this.
Because I get to take out all my stresses on the course. Like, I'm here. Okay, no. It's something my mother introduced to me years ago. She loved it, and I just thought it's just so serene. It's something that I can do. In school, I did all the sports. Like, I did touch rugby, I did your netball, I did hockey, all the rough riding sports. And as growing up, I was like, I need something. It gets so hectic, Adrian. It gets so hectic in this real life adulting thing. I don't know why nobody told us. And I thought, it would be so great to do something that takes me out of the rush and, the hustle of being an adult and everything that we have to do. And it's really peaceful, classy, and so expensive. Fuck, really?
Yeah.
It's just a club and a ball. I'm just hitting a ball. Why is this expensive? But it's fun.
A good friend of mine said he didn't want to play golf because he didn't need more reasons to swear. So I think I might just leave it there. I don't find golf stress relieving at all. I think golf would be very stress relieving if you were good at it. But when you keep missing the ball, it's not stress relieving at all. Anyway, I needed to ask that. Just to backtrack, I was going to ask you about food security, but let's even backtrack before that. How did you get into pageantry to begin with?
Thank you for the question. No, I'm kidding.
You're welcome.
No, just, it was something that my mom was always a mother who sort of directed you in the way that she thought you would fit right in. And I was here, Adrian, like I was kicked out of classes for being here, talkative. And she said, let's put you somewhere where all of that energy can also work for you. And she started me back in grade 4. And growing up, I just started loving it. I was like, every time I'm on the stage, I get to get something afterwards. Oh my goodness, this is really cool. And I just have to smile and wave at everyone in front. And growing up, the purpose started coming in for me, where the household that I grew up in has always been a giving one. That saying, charity begins at home, really, really is something that I grew up in. And my grandmother loves people. She could go without a loaf of bread for someone on the street to have a loaf of bread. So I grew up like that. And as I grew up, I was like, pageants are amazing. They build your self-confidence, which they did for me. And I thought, but I want to do this on a more exponential basis, where I'm using this this platform to empower myself to go back out into community, to better those communities. And I realized that, oh my goodness, they are really impactful in that sense. Hence, I entered Miss South Africa and I entered Miss Earth, because I knew that there's a greater purpose that I do have, and this journey is going to guide me towards there, and that's why today I've got the Maduna Foundation, because I realized that there's so much more to do in community, that, be it giving back with food, giving back with sanitary care, or even just encouraging our youth to actually go for their dreams. And I found that gap in the opportunity in the communities to say, what, if you can't go for that dream, how can I play my part in helping you get there? So pageants have really been, so encouraging for me. And I'm actually grateful that my mom took that opportunity and put me forward. Hey. I should thank her a bit more. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it worked out pretty well for yourself. Can you just I've always been curious why pageantry is such a, I don't know whether saying it's a big thing is correct, but South Africa has won some of the biggest pageants in the world. What is it about South Africa that creates queens of world-class standards and above?
What? I think out of all the young women that I've met that have entered into, your big pageants, I have seen something in them that is truly, truly authentic. And I know we say this word all the time, but I love that we never have to sort of portray ourselves as the person that we are not. We don't have to sit, yes, there's a certain, element of it that we are poised and everything and all the other parts, but I think that the best part is that we can truly be authentic to who we are and portray that to the world. And at the same breath, we can still be proudly South African. So that's the best part of it. Yes.
I want to ask you about your passions as well, because you just mentioned basically your driving force. You sound similar to myself and a lot of the other queens that I've interviewed. You're not just passionate about one thing, you seem to be passionate in multiple areas. What are some of the things that you are passionate about affecting change in your community? You've talked about food security. I know you coach pageant girls to help find their confidence. I know you talked about the sanitary products. Can you just walk us through the different projects or the different areas that you're passionate about?
Absolutely. Adrian, like I said, South Africa is a developing country, and there are parts of South Africa that, the world hasn't even seen, where it's really a dire situation. And you will see that, people are really hungry and people don't have access to healthcare. And, when I found that gap and I realized that, oh my goodness, I'm actually coming from a privileged background. What role can I play in society? And for me, that purpose came with, if I can buy myself a pack of sanitary care, I can buy 10 more for other young women who need that, who don't have access to it, And as I go out into those communities, for me, it's one thing to give someone 20 rands that they don't know what to do with it, or it's going to only feed them once, but rather to give them an amplified vegetable garden that they can turn into a business, so they can become an entrepreneur and they can, feed their family in the same process. So I want to be the person who finds solutions that will not only equip you for the now, and hence the pageant business. It's one thing to be going into a process where you want to enter the competition and you want to win. That's not the sole purpose of Mpumi Pageants. It's to guide you for the after. It's to guide you to completely redefine a win. Because what if you don't win? What is winning going to mean for you? What's the next step for you? We can't just have our eye on, and not to say not to say don't attract, winning the competition or anything, but redefine what winning would mean for you. Would it mean that you've empowered yourself in building your self-confidence? Would it mean you've become, a beacon of hope in your community? Or even, what is it going to encourage from you to become that better person of yourself? And that's why I do these projects, because for me, it's for the longevity of the journey. It's not, because life is not a one-day thing, It's a journey. It's a long-term living, and that's what I want to continue doing in our community. Providing that sanitary care is not going to happen once. It's a process that this young girl goes through every single month. So that's why I'm passionate about those projects.
is amazing. I'll circle back to that just in a second. Giselle,
Sure.
who was the one I was talking to you about, Giselle, I threw you under the bus with your well done meat. Apparently it's okay, but not very good. So Giselle said, hi, amazing people doing great things in our country. So
Oh,
there you
hi,
go.
Jada. Hey, girl. We'll
So
definitely send you a DM later.
absolutely. So she was Miss Eco South Africa. She's just handed over and she's currently the Miss Eco International.
Oh,
Let me ask you, the passions that you've outlined, they all seem to be about helping others and giving back. Can you isolate where that drive to help others comes from? Was it something you were born
mm,
with? Was it your family that you've already identified charity begins at home? Or was it something else?
mm. I think, I've always been selfless. I think I learned that as well, from school. Sharing is caring. But it breaks my heart to know that, I've got, full hands of everything that I do have, and to see that I can actually go back into communities and make that change is something that has always been in within our family. My grandmother always used to say, she always likes telling the story of when I came back home with one pair of shoe. And I asked her, what was the reason for me coming back with one pair of shoe, one shoe from the pair, excuse me. And I had answered and said that, look, my friend came to school without shoes, and I thought it would be fair for us to at least both wear one so that nobody's like looking at her funny. And it stems, I know, right? So I gave her the one pair so that she could also not look like it's weird. And we carried on through the day, and only the teachers only realized towards the end of the day. And I felt like there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. And it really stems from being, my grandmother is such a giving woman. And she does that with effortlessly, with not complaining. And I love
Mm,
to emphasize as well, Adrian, that it's a selfless it's a selfless act, because it makes you feel good. It really
mm.
does. It makes you feel good to make someone else feel good. So it's from there, and it makes me feel good, so I want to make other people feel good, so and feel like there's hope out there, because I grew up in a household like that. You get 40% for a test, just relating it back to that. And it's not a it's always a learning opportunity. It's not, why didn't you do this, why didn't you, it's always, what are we going to
Mm.
do to do better next time? How can we encourage you to drive a 60%, moderately so, and then an 80%? So that's the household that I grew up in.
I love this idea that you had that if you gave someone one shoe, that people wouldn't think it was weird. Where I think what's happened is if you have one shoe and your friend has one shoe, you now both look weird because you've only got one shoe. I think it'd be better to go. I understand where you're coming from, and it's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing, but that's hilarious. Um, if you were fortunate enough to be graced with the Miss Earth title, what would that mean to you, and what would you use it to accomplish?
Sure, that it would actually be such a bonus, because I've already been doing so much that I've always wanted to be doing.
Mm,
And it's a what do they call it, cherry on top. It would be such an honor, to carry that crown, because young women see a woman who has achieved just so many things and still wants to achieve more while still being a queen. Earlier on, Adrian, you said
mm,
you're someone who's multifaceted, and
mm,
I wish for our youth to know that, because they are the future generation, that you don't have to be one thing. And to also like sort of change the narrative around beauty pageants. A beauty
mm.
queen doesn't have to fit into this box of what type of person they should be deemed to be. And that's exactly what it would mean for me. It would mean that I have now harnessed the crown of being 100% myself, while still creating the impact that I want to create, better yet, around the world. That's even, that's just exciting. And it would really be something that I'd love to harness and to, undergo the opportunity of being Miss Earth. It would really be great.
Giselle here has said, looking forward to chatting. So, Giselle, I'll tell you what, since you're probably laid up in bed and you haven't woken up yet, why don't you send Nompumelelo a DM request and then she can get back to you when we're done with
Yeah,
this interview. Otherwise, she'll
interesting.
forget. Uh,
Yeah.
Teacher Russell has said, "Hi, Miss Maduna.
Yeah.
Greetings from the Philippines."
Hey, teacher, what's happening? I wonder how I need to learn the language. I need to learn how to say hello. That would be great, you know?
Well, I've interviewed with Marissa Butler, the Miss Earth USA, and I've seen a lot of the
Mm.
interviews she does, and she always begins it with Mabuhay. So,
Um,
Russell, if you're watching, does that mean hello? I always assumed that meant hello. I don't know any Filipino, I'm ashamed to say. Languages
maybe it's
is
goodbye. I don't know. Okay, we'll Google it.
we'll find out. I need to ask you. You seem like a very, and I don't tell everyone this, but you seem like a very powerful and impactful speaker. So you seem like you have certain advocacies, and you seem to talk about them very well, and in a way that would motivate other people to create change as well and to get behind you. So I just want to ask, in your life, are you utilizing that power? Because you seem like a very powerful speaker.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Adrian. I think I'm not going to lie to you. I'm doing my best to sort of figure it out. Um,
Mm,
I would like to be one day, on the news. I've always wanted to say good morning and welcome to Top Stories. I've always wanted to do something like that. So maybe it's on the pipeline. But in my advocacies as well, I have a big dream to, be in the United Nations as a goodwill ambassador, because I feel like, yes, I do have that voice and that purpose that I still would like to raise the
mm,
urgency towards my advocacies, more especially within what is currently happening in our world with all the factors that are affecting all of us. So I think it is in the pipeline. I'm allowing the universe to align it at the right time. Who knows? Maybe I will be Miss Earth, and it's going to take me to greater heights.
It's so funny you mentioned the UN, because that was the exact path I pictured you in. It's something in the UN to do with speaking on an international stage. So for you to mention that, just like maybe there's something to that. I want to again go back to your socials, and this in terms
Mhm.
of speaking. Can you tell us a little bit more about this one? Because this seems a bit different. What's going on here?
Ah, hello. You are such a great stalker. Okay, I did the thing
I am.
because I was doing things. That is my other side hustle, I would call it, and it's basically doing voiceovers, which I really love because you don't have to see how I actually look besides that. But yeah, I just really love it, and I've learned how to portray it, and the opportunity came. Someone just like you had complimented me and said, "Hey, why don't you try voiceovers?" So I've been doing that for a couple of years, and it's really awesome. It also sort of teaches me how to articulate better, and
Mm.
it's really been something that has been fun. Yeah, that's cool.
Was a voiceover for a piece of fiction? Was it for marketing? Was it for a podcast?
This was for I think it was a YouTube commercial that I did for Justine, and they wanted to extend on that. It was such a powerful commercial. I actually love it. It was we see you along those lines, and it was so
Mm,
great to see them go along the journey of, putting a hat on different women and how powerful each woman is in whatever they do. Whether you are a mom who's working at home or anything. And that was incredible because it's so exciting to see, how the world is starting to move forward with the type of, woman that you can finally be. So it was
mm.
really great to be part of the campaign.
You seem to be a big fan of the gun show. That's your go-to move. I like by the way how you say that you love this because you don't have to worry so much about how you look. Yet you still look so fashionable in this. Look at you. It almost looks like a white tracksuit. You got the
Yeah.
beanie on. I mean,
Yeah.
how did
I mean, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. We can get away with it.
Ah, dear me. This is the most annoying thing about interviewing beauty queens is they say, I just woke up like this. So, please forgive how bad I look. And they still look amazing. And it's like, ugh.
Oh no,
God,
honey,
just
today I put in the effort. I was like, Adrian is going to be putting me on, so I better look good. I better look good. This is the moment.
Well, I do tell people when they're interviewing with me, if they're looking at how I look, then something has gone horribly wrong. So whenever I do an interview, I certainly hope they're looking at the Queen and not looking at me, because I woke up like this. I have no makeup. There's no hair and makeup done by myself, like head to toe. I know it's unbelievable, but
Man, that's unbelievable. I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
Thank you for that. Don't question it too much. Now,
Yeah.
guys, I can see a lot of you have tuned in. So if you have any questions for Nompumelelo before I let her go, we're going to move towards the final 10 questions. Then put them in the comments now, and then I'll circle back to them after we go through the final 10. Let's just go through here. Okay, so Frida, who tuned into my Miss Earth Australia interview, she said best wishes, Miss SA, with a very
Thanks,
appropriate
Frida.
green heart. Now, Teacher Russell has said Mabuhay. There you go. Mabuhay
Great.
means,
Mabuhay.
here you go. You can learn something. Mabuhay equals hello, equals long life. So there you go.
Great. Mabuhay.
Mabuhay. And he's also said, yes, it would be great to see her speaking for the UN. And yes, she has an incredible voice and very influential. So I'm not the only one thinking this. There you go.
I receive. One day we'll look at this, and I'm definitely going to mention Adrian's opportunity because he put me on.
Would you like to respond to this strange commenter here?
Nazi, oh, friend. Oh, that's so sweet. She also like, oh, guys, you know what? You both just stars aligned and you said it's an opportunity. Let's do it. Thank you, my friend. I didn't even know. Adrian spills the beans today. Imagine.
I think Nazir was the first South African queen I've interviewed. I've only interviewed two. One is Nazir, one is Giselle, who I mentioned earlier. And Nazir, you put it in there. You put it to the universe. I mean, I'm not the universe, but you put it out there, and
we're putting it out
happened.
There. Yeah.
So there you go. Nazir, do you have any future pageant plans? It's been a while since we've seen you on a stage. Maybe can't divulge in public. I don't know. I know how you like to keep these sorts of things secret.
We do.
Russell has said, hope to see her win one of the crowns or even the main crown. And he's asked, all right, so we'll ask this question and then we'll go through to the final 10. Will you have a different hairstyle for the finals?
That's a good question.
Secret?
You know what? I'm such a creature of habit. So it makes it very difficult to change my consistency. And yeah, I feel very confident with my hairstyle. I don't know if I would really change it. So if you can love me now, you can love me with a crown.
I agree with that. I agree. Nazia has said, here we go. Definitely future pageant plans.
Dun, dun, dun. Is there a sound? Okay, I'm pushing it.
Oh, here we go. I'll let you read this.
So proud of you, Mpumi. You are shining so bright. Oh, friendy. Oh, guys, this is so sweet. Thanks, friend. How kind of her. Making me smile, making me cry here.
It won't be the first time it's happened on one of my interviews, believe me. I do need to ask you, how do we get from Nompumelelo to Mpumi?
Oh, actually, just move the N-O. Then you start M-P-U-M-E, and then you move the Lelo. That's it.
Oh. So you've just lost the beginning and the end, and then just what's in the middle.
Yep. That's all it is. Okay. And someone said to me, why is it not Lelo? I said, geez, guys, this is becoming tough, eh? Like, can it just be what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, you should see what us Australians are like. Aussies are famous for not saying anyone's full name. So I have no idea what they'd call you, but everyone just gets one syllable. So, you know, Gareth becomes Gaza, Barry becomes Bazza, or Baz. So I don't know what they do with your name. They butcher it horribly.
Horribly. So what would yours be? Eddie. Edge.
No,
Eddie.
I have the
Edge.
one name that doesn't have a nickname. I always wanted a nickname, never had one. So,
Yeah, I mean, why not
that's
just say the full name?
because they're too lazy. We're too lazy.
I know.
That's the Australian accent in a nutshell. We can say entire sentences without moving our mouths. Like, how you going? How you going, mate? It's all one word. It's not how are you going? It's how you going.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, goodness.
I haven't moved
You
my
do?
mouth at all. It's almost like being a ventriloquist. Nazia, if you're still watching at the end and you want to jump on with us, I can send you the link and you can say hello in person once we're done off the live. If you feel you're presentable. I mean, I'm slumming it, obviously, but I'm sure you look amazing. Okay. Nompumelelo, before we go to the final 10 questions, anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Yo, I'd like to say shout out. No, I'm kidding. So I'd like to just say thanks to everyone who's been so supportive. Everyone from the Philippines. I know Russell's always supportive. And the pageant bloggers as well. That's really great because they really are pushing us forward and like, go for it, go for it. So it keeps the energy. And I'd like to really say thanks to my mom. I don't think I thank her enough for all the dresses that she's put together, for all the makeup touch-ups that she's done, for the behind-the-scenes photography. And yeah, my family and friends, like Nazi's here. I've got such a great host of family and friends because they always just support me. I've got a makeup artist, I've got a videographer, I've got a photographer, I've got everything in that same bowl of friends and family. So I'm really, really thankful for that. Yeah, and shout out to you, Adrian. This is such a great platform.
Thank you. I'm right here, so you don't need to shout too loud, but I appreciate it. It is good to see that a lot of the pageant bloggers are pushing countries outside sort of the traditional pageant powerhouses as well, and trying to give everyone an equal opportunity. Because obviously it's tough. It's virtual, and not everyone has the same access to resources. So good on you guys as well. All right, final 10 questions. It's not a speed round, but if you want to go through as quickly as you can, be my guest. Here we go. Question 1. What is your favorite word?
Confidence. That's my favorite word. Definitely confidence. Because I feel that if you wear that in your day-to-day life, you're really unstoppable. I know I sound like a chapter from a book, but you are really unstoppable. And, I've seen that in my life. So, and I'd love to see it in other people. But once you wear that, it's because you know yourself, you know what you're capable of achieving, and, you're really unstoppable. That's the word. Next word.
I just want to say I love how you say know yourself, because a lot of people's the most common advice in pageantry is be yourself. But I always like to say you can't be yourself until you know yourself. So that knowing yourself, that's something I just keep. You got to know yourself. You got to go and live some life, try a few different things before you can be yourself. So I hear you on that one.
That's good.
Question 2. What is your least favorite word?
Can't. And
just right on schedule. You said can't, and then there's like a boom sound. It's like a bong going off right on schedule.
And it's can't because, I'm practicing not to even put it in any of anything at all. So I'm practicing not saying it because I think that's what limits us. The minute we say can't, we portray it in the universe, we portray it out there that we cannot achieve anything. So it's definitely can't.
That's a valid psychological trick or tactic, is to simply remove a word from your vocabulary, and it can be very, very transformative. Question 3. In life, what gets you excited, or what turns you on?
I would say, okay, first the first cup of coffee in the morning,
I hear you on that one.
Yeah, and
we don't need any more.
I don't need any more. It's just coffee. That's it. Get me that cup of coffee, a hot cup of coffee. But what gets me going is that there's endless possibilities, where there is life, there's always opportunity. And That's what's really, really pushing me, because I can have a bad day tomorrow and not feel like it today. But I'm like, I'm wasting another opportunity today. So yeah, it's a new day. It's a fresh start.
So the next question then is, what turns you off apart from bad coffee?
Um, I think jealousy. I think jealousy turns me off because the pie is big enough. The pie is big enough for all of us to, have the hair product. The pie is big enough for us to all start our own clothing brand. The pie is big enough for all of us to have, the belief in ourselves to be a Miss Earth. And I think it's definitely jealousy and being envious of people. That's definitely, don't be that. Ew, not cute.
Yeah, 100%. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, birds chirping at 4 a.m. It's beautiful. I have them on the tree just next to my bedside. It is the most beautiful sound to wake up to every morning. I cannot tell you.
You're obviously a morning person then. If at
Yes,
4 a.m. you love it and you don't want to just kill them, you love it. So
like,
you must be a morning person.
definitely. I'm like, at 6 o'clock, let's get going. Are we working out? We've got a plan today. At 9 o'clock, I need to be online. Got to get it right.
Wow.
3 o'clock hits, I'm dead. I'm dead.
Life's a marathon, not a sprint. Just something to remember. That's what we have coffee for, to get you through from 3 p.m. to whenever it is you have to go to bed. All right. So that's your favorite sound. Or what sound or noise do you hate?
I don't want to say this, but it's troublesome when I hear like people hooting. I don't want to hear a hooter. Like, I don't know why we hoot, because that frustration anyway, nobody's even hearing you. Chances are the person in front of you or behind you is not even paying attention. Maybe just signal, just go or flicker. Like, Bob, can't. No.
Don't go to New York then. In New York, they use the I don't know if you guys call it a horn or what you
Oh,
call it, but they use it differently. So most people in most countries press release, right? It's honk or hoot. New Yorkers, I love New York, but I will say they just put their hand on it,
yeah.
and they seem to forget to let it go. So it's just, it might sound like your saxophone, I don't know, but it's just like honk, and then
Shots
the other one will
fired.
get annoyed. So they start, so they go honk, and then you got two horns going. So
Oh, no. Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no, I can't stand it. Oh, no.
you you might not enjoy New York so much then. Anyway, question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
Oh, I would wish I could fly. And the reason why I would wish I could fly is because, well, first, I mean, I could get to travel the world. I mean, conveniently so. But also, like, it would be so great to, like, do my charity work and just drop the sanitary pads and just fly to another place and get there and drop the sanitary pads and fly to another place and just split myself. If I could fly, I could split myself into 10 people. You know what I mean? That way I could be in different places at one go. That would be such a great, oh man, I'd love to fly. I'd love to fly. And I love being up in the air. It's beautiful. It's beautiful
Yeah.
to see what's around us.
I think technically you might be picking 2 superpowers there, but we'll let you off the hook. That's okay. You can have 2. We're in a generous mood today.
Thank you.
Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Oh, I've always loved redecorating people's places when I go and visit. So I would automatically just be an interior designer. Yeah, no, I'm always like at the curtains.
You go
But,
to other people's places and start redecorating their house? That's okay.
yes, there's so much that you can do. Their homes become my canvas.
So hang on. So someone invites you to their house and they go to get you a drink, and next thing they know that you've got a paintbrush and you're painting their wall.
I'm there. I am that girl. I am there to read. I'm already moving your pillows from your couch to sit in a different position to open up the space. So I would do that.
Okay. So for those of you watching, before you invite Nompumelelo to your house, just bear that in mind. Your house will be unrecognizable by the time you get back. Question 9, what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Oh, I wouldn't want to be like a scientist, because then I wouldn't be able to talk. I'd have to be focused and quiet and have to make sure things are measured correctly. I can't even bake a cake because of the measurements. Now I must do that for a living. Oh, no, I would not be a scientist.
You can't bake a cake because you want to talk?
Because of the measurements that I have to abide by. I think I'm losing you.
Well, hang on. Can you hear me? I'm dropping in and out.
You're back.
So you can't bake?
I mean, not to say I can't, remember, not the word.
That's true.
But I can. It's just not the greatest taste. Let's put it in that way. Just doesn't have the best outcome.
Okay. All right. We've achieved a high standard of, and I'm going to leave that one. I can't figure a way to end that sentence. Let's just move to the final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You've done well. You've done well, and I'm grateful that you did. That's probably what I'd love to hear, because I wish for everyone to actually walk in and hear that. Because I feel like, with everything that is happening around us, the high suicide rate, the, food security issues, the poverty that we're encountering, I would wish, that the people who are doing their part to do better for those other people, I would wish for them to hear that, that, because it never feels like it's enough. And it just, even in our day-to-day lives, it feels like we could do better. We could do so much more. By the time you put your head on that pillow, you're like, oh, but I could have also done this. 2 more emails, something. So I wish I could hear that. You did great. Cheers, child. Welcome home. God loves you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Nompumelelo, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Adrian. This was awesome. You thought I was going to say thank you for having me, but you didn't have me. My mom did.
Dear me. Now we're dissecting the English language. This could go on for a very, very long time. But best of luck for what remains of the competition. Look forward to seeing what you do with or without the crown. As I mentioned, I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, whether it's live or on the replay. And we will speak to you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Pageant Sorority Access opens up on Monday, the 1st of November. To get early access, head to thepageantsorority.com and enter your email address. Hope to see you there, and see you next time.